Hi there, welcome back. This is just another update on the STEPS programme and what I learnt this week. I will say this week hit me hard, it hit me like a ton of bricks. We were on challenging because obviously we've just come off of communication and now we're going on to the challenging and challenging thoughts, challenging patterns. So at first I thought I'd do okay with challenging because I asked myself a lot of questions when I'm having thoughts and stuff like that, so I was like, I do alright at challenging. And it does say like when you are questioning your own thoughts, when you suspect you may be having a distorted or negative thought, ask yourself a few of the following questions. What evidence do I have that this is true? Which I do that a lot. I write down, what I do is I write down the situation and then I write down the thoughts that I'm having and the feelings, and then I write down the objective like outlook of why that's come to that. And then another question is, have you had any past experiences that contribute to the thoughts? So like for me, if someone comes up from behind me, I get, that's a trigger for me. That is just one of my triggers. So I don't know when I know when I react to someone coming up behind me, I'm not reacting to that situation, I'm not reacting to a past situation. Some other questions are if someone I care about had this thought, what would I tell them? Which I do a lot. I do that quite a lot because I try and put myself in the situation of what advice would I give somebody else in this situation. It doesn't always work, and these are like recovery and therapy is a full-time job. Like, it is hard, it takes energy, it takes patience, it takes effort, it takes constant, it's like when you're a child, you don't expect a kid in year one to know their alphabet immediately. Do you know what I mean? If they mess up or they miss a letter, you explain where the letter is and you explain this is where this letter goes in the alphabet, next time try again. And it's a learning curve and it's a learning process, and because we're starting back at square one, we are on that level, and that's okay. So I always say to myself, if I mess up or I don't remember my coping skills at that time, I reflect on it and then try and remember them for the next time. So that's quite a good one to put yourself in advice giving mode, because I find myself that I am very much better at giving advice than I am, actually acting upon it. If I look back at this in 5 years, how may I feel about this? This is another question that I think is a great question, because I look back at a lot of the situations I've been in and I'm like, how did I get in that situation? Oh, that's why. So that one's a great one to keep in the mind when you're in that process of trying to challenge your thoughts and your anger or your upset, and you're trying to challenge it to not be that way. These are, I think they're great questions personally. How is this thought helping me? So if it's a bad thought and a negative thought about doing something stupid, then obviously you can be like, well, when you write it down, be like, oh, this is what I want to do. How's that going to help? How's that going to help in that situation? And that might help, snap yourself out of it. As I said, I try and use other things, like, I try and take myself away now and take a break and take a breather, so that helps. But these questions definitely go through my mind when I'm having a moment and I'm trying to calm myself. I'm like, where is this coming from? How do I fix it? What's the situation realistically? What can I do in this? I think these are great just to have as a backup in the back of your mind. Do you know what I mean? Just write them down, have them laying about, in places in the house, so you just remember them. Because again, it's like creating a new habit. You're changing the way you're thinking. I'm sorry if I'm rambling a bit this week, because this one really did hit me hard, because it wasn't so much the questions and the challenging part, because as I said, I thought I did okay with that. It was the common thoughts of distortion. Now this bit got me hard, because I thought I was okay. Like, I thought out of all the things, I'm not that delusional. I'm not that crazy. But a lot of these spoke to me. It's like all or nothing thinking. Things are either all good or all bad. I do that all the time. There is no mid ground. There is no grey shades. It's like you are. This is how it should be done. You are either doing it or you're not doing it, and that is how my brain's always worked. Overgeneralization, and globalization, and like yeah. So it's like you come to general conclusions based on a single incident or piece of evidence. If this single evidence is negative, then the event is negative, basically. Um, so you're like you see, you come in, your partner's like 10 minutes late from work, and then you're instantly like, right, well, they're obviously having an affair. It can't be traffic, can't be, they went to the shop to get a bunch of flowers for you or something like that. No, they're definitely having an affair. That's one that is quite common. Selective focus, which is tunnel vision. You pick out a negative detail in a situation and dwell on it, and basically you just dwell. Essentially, so that's just like tunnel vision. You think of one thing and that's it. Disqualifying the positives. You imagine information that challenges your negative attitude, often finding quite quick and clear ways to dismiss it. So it's like when someone says, "Oh, you got a nice dress," and you're like, "Oh no, this is from charity shop," or it only cost me £1. It's just swiping it away. You don't want the positive. You just want to be dwelling in that negative bubble. This one is selective obstruction. You take a statement or event out of context and arrive at a gross misconclusion. Jumping to conclusions. You jump to a higher conclusion, a negative conclusion that is not justified by the facts or the situation. This includes mind reading. You believe you already know what the other person is thinking about you, and you don't need to check it out, and you react to that situation. You imagine something bad is about to happen, and you react as if it's already happened. So it's like the abandonment. You perceive someone as leaving, so then you push them away, because you already in your mind have already left. Um, you develop an unfavorable explanation or for what another person does, based explanations. Magnification. You make mountains out of molehills. You blow things up out of proportion. Minimization. You choose to ignore information. And then there's emotional reasoning. You accept emotions as evidence for ways things really are. Should statements. You have an sorry about that, the dogs are barking. Where were we? Emotional reasoning as evidence. So you base your emotions like the whirlwind, like we were talking about in the previous group thing, which is your emotions feel like a whirlwind and you just get caught up in that, and you take that as facts rather than that's just the way you're feeling because of past events. Should statements, we've already gone over that, like you should, you have an list of rules about things that should be done. So you're like, this should be done this way, and if it's not, then it's wrong, basically. I do that one a lot. That's the one that stresses me out. I get that quite often. Like I'm like, this should be so easy. Why is someone messing this up? Like it should be like done this way. Why is this? It should be such an easy task. Why is it not? I do that one quite a lot. Labeling. You give a person a certain label, and then you treat that person as if she or he fits that description. So it's like you idolize them. You think you think, oh, this person's the best thing in the world, and no matter what they do, they are the best person in the world. They could do anything, and that's a dangerous one. That's a favourite kind of person. That can be a dangerous one if it's not handled correctly. Personalization, you relate an event to yourself when there is no basis for doing this. Fairness, you believe life should be fair and you become upset when injustice occurs. Yeah, that's quite a good one. That's quite a normal one for me. You believe you should always be rewarded when you have done something correctly. That's a reward. Felicity, is that right? Control, which is you believe you should be able to control everything that happens to you and around you. Catastrophic, off listening. I don't even know what that is. You expect a disaster in a situation. I do actually that. I do catastrophize a lot. I'm like, whenever I go on holiday, I'm like, my bags are gonna get lost. This is gonna go wrong. So I always plan for the worst event, which means that I'm like the person that's in like shops and stuff, like in game shops, and you go, have you got a band-aid? And I'm like, I've got everything. I've got medicine. I've got band-aids. I've got the lot. Like I've got the everything that you could ever need is in my backpack, ready, just in case anything ever happens when I'm out. So that's probably a catastrophic kind of reaction for me. I often think that something bad is going to happen, so I often plan for it. Blaming, you hold others responsible for your pain or blame yourself for every problem. I do blame myself that I run into. I'm just like, well, I brought this on myself, so let's enjoy that's one thing I will say, that I am very accountable. Like I do hold myself accountable. I go and I apologize if I'm in the wrong, and I do, but I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but I do try to hold myself accountable. I'm probably more accountable than I actually am. And I do take the blame off of a lot of other people if something does happen. I'm just like, no, it was my fault. Don't you worry about it. Suspicious thinking, illogical, logical causes and effect in relationships. So that's kind of like thinking that they're going to cheat on you all the time and stuff like that. So as you can see, a lot of them hit me quite hard. I thought I wasn't that I didn't think I had that many distorted thoughts, but when it's put down like that, obviously a lot of people have these. I'm not saying if you have any of these things, and I'm not a doctor under any circumstances. I'm just telling you this is my journey on my steps program, and this is what this is for. It's just to look back on, and so I have information there that's readily available to anyone that wants it. But if you fall into any of these categories, the one thing is to remember, don't just jump to the conclusion of that's it, you've got BPD or you've got some sort of mental health problem. Everybody's got filters, whether they're positive from, you always have great family holidays and stuff like that. So now when you grow older, that's what you expect. That's your filter. However you were brought up, every single person in the world has a filter, and every person has bad ones and good ones. It's just learning how to manage them and learning how to not let yourself get to a boiling pot of 5, which is what the BPD or emotional instability disorder causes. It means that we don't have that time frame that normal people have between 1 and 5. We have 1 and then straight 3, 4, 5. Like it's a very fast incline, and that's what we're working on. This is what this is teaching us, is how to calm down and get to 2 or 3 and know that we're there before we get to 5, and not let it have that deep increase. Have a slow rise so we can stop situations and think logically, clearly, and have some sort of grounding when things happen, because things happen to everyone. Every single person's got a problem. Every single person out there has some sort of trauma. It might not be, their trauma could be like their rubber on the end of their favourite pencil when they were in kindergarten broke, and that's their trauma forever. But that's still trauma to them, and that's still their thing to carry. It might not be as big, it might not be as impactful, but it is. Everyone's got something, and I'm just journaling and trying to keep myself on the right path, and I hope that these videos are helping some people out there, and give people at least access if you don't have access to these sort of materials. It gives you access to at least some of it. I might not be the best one to teach, and I'm not trying to teach anyone. I'm just saying this is what I've learned. This is my journey, and if you want to come along and listen, I would love to have you, and I'd love to have a community out there that just wants to get better and wants to, you know, improve the world as a whole. And by doing things like this and working on yourself and putting in the effort, which is hard and difficult and tiring, it will make a better place, you know. That's kind of my logic. But this week hit me hard, so I'm sorry if I rambled and I'm sorry if it made no sense. But the distorted thoughts hit me hard. It made me feel a little bit, I know you shouldn't really use the word crazy, and I'm not saying everybody else who has this illness is crazy, because we're not. It's just how I speak to myself, and I know it's self-deprecating and I shouldn't do it, but I couldn't help but feel a little bit like, oh God, am I, like, how much of what I perceive is happening, and it is a big thing to kind of smack you in the face with. But I'm here, I'm doing it. I'm on. We're working on to week 7, so I'm going good. I'm doing well. I'm sticking by it, and I feel confident that it is helping. It's difficult, hard work, but I feel like I'm becoming a better person for it, which is the aim. So thank you very much for watching. Sorry for rambling. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!